Hey guys, it's Alyssa here from Planet Alyssa with this week's What I Sold on Etsy report. I'm going to show you the different vintage items I sold on Etsy this week. I do have to apologize though. I really have meant to get some more videos out, some different helpful videos for selling on Etsy, but I have just been super busy lately. I do sell on other venues as well, including Amazon, and as you might know, Christmas is coming up, so that has been it's been a busy season for me. I even feel like I've been neglecting my Etsy shop a little bit. I have not been listing as many new things, and I've fallen behind on stuff. I have a bunch of things I need to take pictures of. I thought I was going to get a chance yesterday to take some pictures, and that didn't work out, and I don't think I'm going to have enough time today, but perhaps tomorrow. Even so, I did pretty well with my Etsy shop this week. I sold 15 items this week for a total selling price of $240. And now let's take a look at what each of the items were that sold. The first thing that sold this week is this Paisley handkerchief, or hanky. It sold for $6, and I picked this up in a bag at a thrift store with some other handkerchiefs, which you've probably seen in other videos I've posted. This week's big sale was this vintage paper cutter, which sold for $60. It's a really cool design. It's made of wood and metal, and it just has a cool old-fashioned style to it. I picked this up at a rummage sale. This is a hot pad or trivet. It's a vintage mid-century style made of a bright shiny red plastic. It sold for $12, and I've had this for a while, so I don't quite remember where I picked it up. I think a thrift store, possibly at a rummage sale, I'm not sure. These are 3 new old stock packages of Christmas tinsel icicles. They sold for $17, and I picked these up at a garage sale not too long ago. This is Dexter. He's a gunned plush stuffed animal, a Sandra Boynton design character. He sold for $24, and I picked him up at a rummage sale. This is a vintage tabletop style cigarette lighter. It sold for $20. It's got a ceramic base that has playing cards on each of the different surfaces. You might recognize these marble candlesticks from a previous video. They sold for $20, and these are something I picked up in a box lot at an auction. This decorative metal rooster or chicken sold for $20. He's a pretty fancy bird with his long tail there. He is not in perfect condition, however. He had a couple of dings on him. If he was in perfect condition, he probably would have sold for a little bit more. And this was something I picked up at a rummage sale. This is a vintage map from the 1982 World's Fair. It's a souvenir style map, so a smaller map. It sold for $6, and I picked this up at a barn sale. This little gadget is a vintage needle threader in its original box. I picked this up at a thrift store, and when I saw it, I didn't know too much about it. I just thought it looked kind of cool. Once I got home and looked it up, I realized it wasn't all that rare, but it still is kind of a neat item. I sold this for $4. I probably wouldn't pick up another one just because it wasn't worth all that much. And I sold another map this week. This one is a miniature though. It's designed for a dollhouse. It's a map of Nantucket. It sold for $7, and I picked this up in a rummage sale with some other dollhouse items, which you've seen in previous videos. I decided to sell these all individually because they weren't part of a set. They were just some different dollhouse things that had probably been somebody's dollhouse, and they got rid of them. This vintage ledger book, this cash book, sold for $10, and you might recognize this from my rummage sale haul video, so I picked this up not too long ago too. This is a vintage photo album from Hallmark. It has a ragamuffin style illustration on the cover. Looks sort of like a Holly Hobby. I don't believe this is actually a Holly Hobby design though. This sold for $15, and I don't remember where I picked it up. I think a rummage sale or possibly a thrift store. This is a vintage painted metal ornament that was put out by Avon. They put out, I guess, a whole series for the 12 Days of Christmas. This ornament came in its original box. I sold it for $5, and I picked this up with some other ornaments from the same series at a thrift store. Unfortunately, it didn't have all 12 of the ornaments, so I sold the ones that I had individually, and I think I still have a few left for sale. And finally this week, another backgammon set. This one is a smaller set, a travel set, and it's a magnetic set, so not as cool as the ones with like the Bakelite pieces. But it sold for $14, and I believe this came from a thrift store. Okay, thank you everyone for watching. I hope you are doing great with your own Etsy shops, and I will see you again next week, if not before then. Happy selling, everyone!